Hi everybody, can you believe we're sitting here at our first fest in Sydney? Give it up please, first fest. The 2019 we launched the Spotlight ANZ series of events, and the idea was to bring and start to build this community in the local market. And to be sitting here today at our fest 6 years later and have all of these wonderful people in the room is really, really exciting. Community partners, friends, executive teams, whatever it may be, bringing everyone together is super important. And so we're also today not only celebrating our first fest, but also the fact that 10 years ago we put the first person on the ground in Australia for Relativity. The idea is to support all of you and your growth with local team members. And even though we had customers prior to that date, that 2015 Relativity employee moment was really important for us as we start to build out. The next 5 years, we saw consistent growth. We saw our first domestic, our first global law firms, the first of the big four banks come on board, and many, many new partners. And so 2018, fast forward, we launched Relativity One. Mentha was our first customer. They've seen exponential growth since moving on to the cloud product, and we continued to grow. Almost double of our data now in Australia is in Relativity One over server. And today, in 2025, we have 40 direct customers, over 7,000 users of the product here in Australia. And they're working through our partners or direct with us, or however it be it, to work on Relativity One to deliver great outcomes for customers. We grew faster in this region than we did in any other region last year, and that's a testament to all of you working in the product and making sure that this is how you're going to support your customers. And partners in this market are one of the reasons why we're here today. These partners all using Relativity One to help work in the legal community. And so if you look at the growth that our market's seeing, over 60% year-over-year growth of our service provider community here in Australia, and almost 68% of all Relativity One data through our partners. In APAC, you can see some of these stats, and if you've been to the Spotlight events in the past, you'll see that these are really increasing year-over-year, particularly as we started to expand our data centre presence in APAC. We've seen not only the Australian market grow, we're seeing geographies in Asia grow, and that ability to be able to help our global customers expand in this region is what's important for us and all of you as well. And it's people that are the most important. So I've talked a lot about data. The AI Visionaries program is really important to recognise those who are using AI in innovative ways to help our legal landscape grow and explore new things. And so these two individuals have really sort of stood out this year and last year. Hilary Goodyear, who's the leader of the Ashurst Advanced section at Ashurst, is a huge partner, but also a real innovator, and they've got a 2027 strategy that enables them to really drive new technologies forward, which she's leading. So congratulations to Hilary, and also to Roman Barbara, who's the Executive Director at Mentha. Not only is he a Relativity master, he's a practitioner, he is an early adopter of generative AI products, but he truly believes, and so does Hilary, that the expertise on the ground, the people behind the technology, is what's going to help our Australian community adopt new technologies going forward. So huge round of applause for these two. I mentioned masters. If you don't know what a master is, it's the top level of the certifications, and we saw a 45% increase year over year from last year of people reaching that status. 14 people since the Spotlight ANZ series last year that have become masters. We had a breakfast this morning to celebrate those individuals. Continue to invest in yourselves. It is really important for your own careers, and it's really important as we lead through this change. Yesterday we certified 6 people as Relativity certified trainers, so there's lots of opportunities to get involved. And it's important to get involved because when we're bringing new products to the market, and we know that the world is changing, the fast pace of bringing new innovation to the market's changing, we really need to recognise the individuals who are sort of trying to help us lead through that change. The democratisation of generative AI means that we're able to bring these products to the Australian market, not second or third after the US, but at the same time. And we've seen partners and customers here in this region adopt these products in the LGA process, move through it into general availability, and make sure that the rest of this community can leverage these products in the right way. One of the most important parts of that I've seen in any customer meeting I've been in international has been that the fact that our generative AI products are on our own trusted environment, the one that you've already convinced your customers to use, is one of the most important lower barrier of entry to adopting generative AI products. So you can see Gilbert and Tobin, who's been a really strong partner of ours from the beginning, saying that that's really important to them. Now, in the States, we have the AM law. In the UK, we talk about the magic circle. In Australia, there isn't really a phrase, but we call it the Big Eight. And we have done that for quite some time. And these are the big 8 law firms in the region. I'm proud to say that Relativity is now leading the legal market here in Australia. We have 7 of the big 8 law firms who are using Relativity One. This time last year, there were only 4, so we're seeing huge momentum even in the last 12 months. So thanks for trusting Relativity One from the legal industry. And Herbert Smith Freehills is a great example. First customer in 2012, first law firm customer. They're the largest customer by data in Australia today with Relativity One. And it was only last year that we saw an unprecedented amount of data that they put into the platform. We've never seen that kind of growth before. And I can honestly say that this is a trend that we're seeing across all of our law firm customers. So thank you so much for trusting this platform, as I mentioned. And I'm going to head over to Ashurst, who's going to talk a bit about their experience.
Innovation and disruption are core to Ashurst's values. We're continuously experimenting with the latest AI and technology, assessing if and how it can be leveraged to optimise the delivery of legal services for our clients. I'm Hilary Goodyear. I'm partner and global head of Ashurst Advance. I head up the firm's new law offering, and I'm responsible for shaping and leading the firm's digital innovation and transformation strategy. The sophisticated information environment in which our clients operate mean we need access to best-in-class technology and technical expertise. We evaluated a number of solutions, but it was clear that Relativity One was the right choice for us from the outset. Its scalability, its roadmap, and its generative AI capabilities were key factors. Additionally, Relativity One's ability to support modern data types from collection to review was critical. In an era where data is increasingly diverse and complex, having a solution that can seamlessly handle various data types is absolutely essential. Lastly, the strong ecosystem and additional support offered through Epic within Relativity's partner network added significant value to the platform's overall potential, including the ability to provide instances of Relativity One in multiple jurisdictions to match our clients' data residency requirements. With Relativity One, we have one global integrated platform which is essential for effective collaboration, allowing our teams to work seamlessly together across geographies. The fact that it also supports region-specific workflows is particularly important for a global firm like Ashurst. Relativity One has been a real game changer for our team. One of the standout features is its robust AI capabilities, particularly Air for Review. This tool is going to help us streamline our review processes, allowing us to handle large volumes of data with greater accuracy and speed. The platform's automated workflows also have significantly reduced the need for manual intervention, and the speed of data transfer and processing means we can be much more agile when responding to clients' time-critical requests. We envisage a really long-term partnership with Relativity and Epic. It's a partnership which goes beyond merely providing us with a platform. It's also about working together to solve the increasingly complex challenges our clients are facing with custom solutions that meet their unique needs.
Yes, sure. Clap. Couldn't have said it better myself. I also wanted to call out law firms are obviously a huge part of Relativity, but so are the corporates. And so Woolworths is a great example, obviously a recognisable logo, but also one that engages Relativity One because they're having to process large quantities of audiovisual data. And I think that's really important when you think about all the various formats that they need to do that, so they can do that efficiently and effectively. And so whilst we work with corporations, whilst we work with law firms, public sector, our partners and legal service providers, one of the things that's really important is to think about what's going on in the world today and the role that we play. And markets are struggling, currencies are volatile and fluctuating, political landscapes are unprecedented. The world that our kids will grow up in are not the same world that we all grew up in. It's never been more important, therefore, for this group to really think about who you're doing business with, to trust that they're ethically sound, to trust that they're financially stable, to trust that they're being responsible in how they are leading into the future, how they are looking at technology and adopting technology across customers, across their partners. And so Justice for Change for us is a way that we can make sure that we're giving back to the communities. So Justice for Change is a great program of ours. There is a lunch on it today, so make sure that you, if you don't know much about it, please go and learn. But a great example of one of the Justice for Change projects that are on at the moment is National Justice Project. This is teamed up with Law and Order. These cases aim to hold the Australian government accountable for the psychological and physical harms that asylum seekers and refugees in detention centres have been facing. Now, these are not just going to impact the Australian community, these sorts of cases. They will lead how we think globally about working with racial and social injustices. And so make sure that you do go along today. The other part that we're really proud of here is Relativity Gives program. You would have all got a token at registration. It represents $10. The team in APAC feel very close about 3 different charities amongst many, but National Justice Project, the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, and Tech Inclusion Limited. And so you can use that to donate to one of these 3 great causes. So please do that. Now, as I said at the beginning, this event, the Spotlight Series and the Fest Series globally are for you. It's for the community. It's for us all to get together. We've got a lot going ahead of us in the next couple of years, so make sure that you're networking and forging relationships. On that note, our executive team are here, so make sure that you make their trip worth it and knock on their doors throughout the day. And on that, I'm going to welcome up to the stage our CEO, Phil Saunders. Thanks for having me. Have a great day.
Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Can I get a little bit more love? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. There we go. Thank you. We already threw so much data at you. I'm going to take a quiz later about all those numbers, and I'm going to throw a little bit more at you, so we'll see how we do at the end, and then we'll give you $10 tokens if you win. All joking aside, I think what Georgia mentioned about giving back is a big part of our culture here at Relativity. So please jump in, leverage the token, and let's do some justice for change and justice for good. I just want to get a landscape of who and what we have here today. You know, I like to understand my audience before I ever get up and have the opportunity to be speaking with you, because you're giving me your time. It's your most valuable, critical asset that you have to offer. It's not your money. It's not your car, it's your time, and I really do appreciate that. And so when I look at who's here, there's a couple interesting stats. One, there's about 75% retention, magical CEO word, by the way, 75% retention of people that joined us in the past that are here with us today. So for the old friends and family that are here, welcome back. What I thought was really astounding, however, is that there's literally 70% of this audience is new. So for all the new faces out there, welcome. Once again, thank you for dedicating your time here. We honor that time, and we hope that it's a good use of your time, and you'll give us that feedback along the way. So thank you. Now, I have some things to say, and they're going to be less about product and a little bit less about data, because Chris Brown, our Chief Product Officer, and his illustrious team are going to dazzle you with numbers and charts. By the way, Chris Brown, who will come up in a moment, also copied me. He copied my shoes. It takes a lot of guts at this age to wear these white sneakers. I'm awfully uncomfortable. So but the fact that he copied me, I guess is in some way a compliment. But I really wanted to tip off before we get into my discussion with you about change. I wanted to take a moment and remind you, if you don't know this already, that there are 3 fundamental columns we stand upon at Relativity. And yeah, there's lots of products and lots of new AI stuff, but fundamentally we care about 3 things, and you'll see it show up, hopefully if we're doing our job, throughout the day. 1, a long-term commitment and vision. And as our Chief Product Officer, Chris, would say, we're here to build a 100-year company. I steal it, but it's his words. 2nd, innovate with purpose. Be principled, but innovate with purpose. And I hope that by the end of the day today, you'll get a sense that we're not just throwing money at the problem or the opportunity, we're innovating with purpose with your input and insights involved. And third, but definitely not last, we are insanely obsessed with our customers and our partners. Easier said than done, and I'm really big on say-do ratios, like what we say versus what we do. I'm hopeful that as you spend time with us, or those that have been with us in the past, know that our say-do ratio should be at all-time highs, because we are really an embodiment. The numbers that we'll show you today are just an embodiment of your work product. So thank you for that commitment. Thank you for that trust. Okay, we're going to talk about change, and we're going to get into it, but I think it would be insincere of me to kick off today's conversation and ignore this. By the way, I have a picture on my iPhone from 5:45 this morning, I didn't sleep, at Bondi Beach. And by the way, it looked almost exactly like this. If you don't believe me, come up to me on a break. And it was eerie. It felt uncertain. There was a level of friction that you felt in the air. And I think, once again, we would be not denying the fact that there's a lot going on in our world, whether it be the politics. By the way, yes, I'm American, if you haven't figured that out. So how do we ignore that elephant in the room? But you've got your own weird stuff going on here too. So like, let's just level set a little bit. But so there's a lot going on, and I can't speak for all of you, but for me as a human being in my life, there's a lot of change going on with me in my own personal life, and I don't think I'm the only one. So when you couple or conflate the changes in our market, the changes in our personal lives, the changes that are happening in the dollar, in the political systems, it's a lot. And one thing that I've learned through the years, right, experience breeds resilience. And this experience tells me that we can do this. And there's something incredibly powerful about the power of this group. There's a book written by Carl Jung. Anyone know Carl Jung? Philosopher, psychologist. It's called Synchronicity. And synchronicity is all about coincidences aren't really just coincidences. Right? They're actually made to be happening. And I believe that we are here together in more than a coincidental fashion. I think we're here to solve something much bigger. And if we do that well together, if we put a little elbow grease into it, we'll be able to rise above the cloudy, gnarly clouds and get to something that feels a little bit more like thriving. Change. So we're going to talk about change, but let's kind of just set the landscape. There's changes in regulations, not just in ANZ, but in Asia. There's changes in the roles. In all of your roles, or all of your firms, or your corporations, or your legal service providers and consulting firms, there's change in what you're doing in your roles. There's changes in all things data. Why? Because the data formats and volumes are changing and increasing. There's changes in the tech to serve the data. And last but definitely not least, there's changes in how we all as a community and as an ecosystem work together. Again, I've been doing this a really long time, like 38 years, so you can do the math, I'm old as dirt. But I will tell you that this is the only industry I've ever been in that works together with competitors, partners, firms, and somehow can break bread or have a pint together. That's not normal, and it's definitely very specific here, even in ANZ, even more so. So thank you for letting us be part of it, but we've got those 5 things to cover, and we're gonna run through them quickly so I don't get thrown off the stage. So let's talk about regs. This is just a sampling of what they are, and you know what these are: enhanced privacy reforms. There's so many regs around the ANZ and APAC region around personal information and data protection. Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, and a couple of others. So significant changes in the regs, and by the way, they're not stopping. Right? We all know this. So this change in regs, we're feeling it. It's what you're doing for a living. It's a lot more than just litigation. And in the roles that we talked about, in your companies, your firms, your legal service provider functions, there's automation of routine tasks so you can get more stuff done. There's automation and enhancement of compliance and privacy motions. There's pricing and packaging models that are bespoke and changing. Why? Because you're trying to figure out how to express value to your client in a manner that they can digest and appreciate. Significant changes in your role. So we got regs and we got roles. Experience breeds resilience. We've been doing this. We know how to do this. We at Relativity have been doing this well over 20 years. Many of you have been doing this for many, many years. And for all the new folks that are in the room, thank you for being part of it, because we're going to need a collective group where the power of the group is so much more than the power of any one of us as individuals. The work that you do and the regs that you serve in your newly defined roles shows up differently here in APAC than anywhere else in the world. We call it Legal Data Intelligence, LDI, which is a framework that was created. It's a vernacular. It's a framework. It's a thought process that says you and we are so much more than e-discovery. The work that you do is so much more than doing an investigation. And we've seen on our platform, by the way, it's self-selected fields that you all as users drop into our platform and tell us that the things that you're working on, whether it be data breaches, internal disputes, DSARs, contract reviews, privacy related. These are all use cases far beyond your traditional investigation, and that is surging. And by the way, you're bringing value to your clients in something so much more than just a traditional investigation. And it shows up. It shows up in the data. We talked about regs. We talked about roles. We're here to talk about data. 175 zettabytes of data in our world by the end of the year. Some stats are 185. I took the lower number. Now, I don't know about you, I had to Google this like at 3 in the morning, because I'm like, what the hell is a zettabyte? It's, I think, 1 trillion terabytes. So it's 1 trillion, and I'm trying to like capture in my mind, what the hell is that? Like, that's a lot of data. So Aussies like to binge watch. Like, I think you're big Netflix users. Not only do you like Netflix, you binge 13.6 hours a week. Are you guys really doing disputes and investigations? If you were to watch HD video on Netflix, to get to 1 zettabyte of data, 1 zettabyte, it's not a couple of years of binge watching. It's not 100 years. It's like billions of years. So the data, we're talking about data and how it's showing up. This is the data, it's not my data, it's your data. This is the data that you're creating in our universe. Again, we're an embodiment of what your work is. And so I share with you that the data is surging. And it's not just volumes of data, it's how you're leveraging the platform. Processing went up from somewhere about 50 petabytes, 34 petabytes to well over 50 petabytes. RSMF, short message data, 200% growth, like notable growth from 80 to like 190 terabytes, if my data is correct. And it's not just that, AV data and other forms in graphics. So, am I dating myself? For all the youngies, do you know what this is? Now, I did research this too. I know sharks are a bit of a sensitive topic here. But Jaws is iconic, right? Did I get that right? Thank you. So I like metaphors. And what I was thinking about with all the changes in the regs and all the changes in the roles that we play, you and me and we think about how the data is showing up, we're going to need a bigger boat. So you need power. You need GPUs. So NVIDIA built the Blackwell chip, 6-7 times more processing and compute power than its predecessor, the Hopper. Like, I'm talking flops upon flops of performance. Like, tremendous amount of performance to accomplish what needs to be done. And money, you gotta follow the money. The money is being invested not just in Amazon, Microsoft, Google, and the several hundred billions of dollars are spending, but in legal tech specifically, it's 83 billion. And by the way, it's being used. About 30% of chief legal officers are leveraging generative AI. By the first time I said it, I'm on like my 10th slide. 75% of those folks say they're going to double their use in the next year. They just are relying on it more. And for us here at Relativity, we are growing and we are generating profit, but we're reinvesting it. And we're reinvesting it in the various models. We have over 100 applied scientists in AI, dedicated AI innovation. We're making an investment, and it's not just in AI. It's also in just the sheer efforts to build not a good product, but an awesome experience. And so we're dedicated to this, we're committed to it, we're investing money for the long term. And you know what? That's still not enough, because we haven't talked about the last leg of the stool, and that is the people. You can have the best tech on the planet with the long-term vision and innovation with purpose, but if you're not obsessed with working with your customers and partners to drive awesome outcomes, you're just going to be a good company, and you're just going to be a good market. We're not here for good, folks. We're here to not just address and embrace change. We're here to facilitate it, and I think we can do that together. Thank you very much for your time. We will rise and thrive together.
Good to see you all today. Again, I'm Chris Brown, Chief Product Officer at Relativity, and I am wearing white shoes. So good to be here today. Let me just kick us off with our mission over the last 20-some years has been to organize data, discover the truth, and act on it, and help our customers and partners, and you in this room, organize data, discover the truth, and act on it. And to do that, all of us together have to support all different segments, marketing term, users, and practices around the globe. In total, Relativity One, Relativity Server, all the segments, all the different practices around the world, we support almost 400,000 users in the platform. We support law firms, corporations, enterprises, advisory firms, legal service providers, the public sector entities. And we support practices that are just a few users in one geography working on a couple use cases to vast international operations, hundreds of thousands of users divided into different project teams around the globe and different tenants, all within Relativity and Relativity One. And together, we have to support all different shapes and sizes of matters, or in some cases we call them projects. In the software, we call them workspaces. This is a view of all the different projects in Relativity today, in the Relativity universe today, a little over 300,000 active workspaces. Many of these, less than 10,000 documents. So all the small matters in the world, you can run them in Relativity. Many of these millions, hundreds of millions of documents. Some of the largest matters in the world, you're running in Relativity One, all on the same platform. And then critically, as kind of Phil was mentioning, we have to support all different kinds of use cases together. So this is a good example, a little breakdown of what Phil was talking about. Today in our whole universe, we have about 48% of the matters are in litigation. We've got a ton of internal investigations. We've got all these matters that Phil mentioned, data subject access requests, FOIA requests in the US, regulatory, contract review, you name it. We've got data breach response and all different types of use cases. But even if you drill into just litigation, inside litigation, you're covering a vast different type of projects. Some of them are civil, some of them are IP related, some of them are contract review, employment. Really a whole bunch of different use cases that we have to support in one platform. Now, if you spin back out and kind of turn the dial just to Australia, it's a different mix. Here, there's a little less litigation and there's a little more of everything else. And all those other categories are growing and growing rapidly. Now here you can see there's a higher degree of data breach responses in the market. There's a higher degree of regulatory requests relative to other markets. And even inside the litigation sphere here, and just looked at APAC, APAC is almost all investigations right now. And so that's kind of where it's penetrating, and there's more and more use cases kind of flourishing there as well. But each place you look, it's a little bit different. If I looked at all of the data by segment, you'd see vast differences of how you're conducting work. But do you ever ask yourself, like, how are we able to do this in a platform? I've been in software a long time, decades. And it's really remarkable when you can build a platform that can solve so many different use cases and an ever amount of use cases. And again, all these shapes and sizes and all these places around the world. So how do we do that? So at the core, like together, with this group, over the last 20 years, we've been building the world's leading unstructured data platform for legal data intelligence and beyond. Well, it's a sort of a big sentence, but it's true. The leading unstructured data platform for legal data intelligence and beyond. You're going to hear a lot about AI and air and generative AI today, but it's not just about that. It's about everything that has come before, every layer beneath the surface that is sort of sets us up for this moment to rise and thrive together. Now, at its core, relativity allows you to do kind of two separate but really exceptional things. And one is create a unique ontology around every single project or matter or workspace in the platform. You can describe this ontology with the custodians or the data sources that are part of your matter, the documents, the unique facts or testimonies, principally the objects or fields that describe the unique data that you're dealing with. This creates this ontology for every matter. In fact, if you look at all the matters in relativity, 75% plus of them have unique objects and fields to describe the data sets. Not only are we developing unique ontology for every matter, but also you're developing a unique ontology for every practice. Now, the power of these two ontologies, which are unique to every matter and every practice, is that they form the foundation of a semantic layer that all the downstream human experts, AI, analytics, workflows, generative AI, they work on. And all this, of course, is secured in the cloud as well. Now, of course, if you just double-click into the AI layer, Phil kind of talked about this a little bit, but we've been spending really many millions of dollars the last few years building out this AI layer for this moment. And that includes things like dozens of relativity AI models that sit on or interact with some of the flagship large language models out there like OpenAI. We're also investing in AI agility for this group and on behalf of this group to connect into other large language models over time, like Google Gemini, like Anthropic and things like that we're experimenting with. We also have things like an air gateway, a large language model service, some techie things like a candidate job framework that allows us to experiment with this new technology and bring it to market. We also have been building test data sets, synthetic test data sets that help us power and understand this stuff in the future and build responsibly. But one of the most important things of all is just this AI lifecycle, because there's a lot of change coming. And how do we build together responsibly for the future and take an idea from concept to reality? So what we do is we start with an idea, often either found together or through this room. We bring it to our data scientists. We work on that collaboratively with you. We get the shape from an idea from not just an AI model, but possibly a product. We then experiment with building an early version of that product with you. We invite customers into an advanced access program to shape that product, understand it on real data, and then we work to scale it all the way out to the enterprise, and then still support it, manage it, and trust it in the enterprise at scale under high load. And this process keeps repeating. Every new product that we're building, we add capabilities. You're going to see a bunch of these products here shortly, and they all, many of them are under this umbrella we call Relativity Air. Now, Air is 3 products today, and there's more coming: Air for Review, Air for Privilege, Air for Case Strategy. But even inside of those products, there's a whole bunch of new sub-use cases that are powered by different AI capabilities and AI models. Now, you're going to hear about those features soon, but what I wanted to focus on was the emotional response that it's eliciting. Things like, my imagination has been completely lit on fire, or this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. You know, one of my favorite quotes is, Air is the team I never thought I could have this early in a case. And it's available to work on nights or weekends or holidays when I need to hit a deadline. And what really resonated with me about that quote was that it's not just like a co-pilot where it can kind of boost your productivity 20%. It's a whole team at your disposal. And when you have a whole team at your disposal, you can rethink how you approach matters altogether. You can get insights much quicker in the process and form the basis of your case much faster, right? And so that's some of the things that it's eliciting. Now, why is it eliciting those types of emotional responses? It's just software, right? One of the reasons I like to think about it is that it's performing increasingly higher order cognitive decision making, supported by human feedback loops. It's doing higher order decision making, like, is this thing truly relevant? Is this document or piece of evidence truly privileged? And that's a higher order task we're asking the technology than we have in the past when it was basic automation or basic classification. It's performing higher level cognitive tasks. Soon, we'll be even adding to that, asking it, is this material confidential? And if you describe something as confidential, it's based on a bunch of conditions that the user has that are not built into the software. It's unique to every particular case. But what's exciting is between air and generative AI, we can also start to climb the cognitive curve to solve more problems, which aren't just discovery-related problems, but how can we help you shape the arguments to the merit of a case? Or how can we help you with the strategy, not just for the case, but with your business practice at large? These are one of the ways that we can grow together and solve more problems. But of course, it doesn't just apply to litigation. The same cognitive curve applies to all types of use cases that we're working on the platform. And every one of these use cases has friction today and has opportunity today, and we can lean in and solve more of those problems together with this technology and the life cycle I spoke about. And of course, we can deliver solutions together as a community. We can improve those improvements in core relativity and Relativity 1. You can work on customizations that are local to your practice or integrations to other technology in your firm. There's a bevy of third-party applications available built on Relativity 1. We're constantly innovating in first-party applications like data breach response and contracts. And of course, there's the looming opportunity of building agents to tackle a lot of this work in the future. All that's available to us. But one of the most exciting things of all is this little category I like to call other. So what is remarkable about this industry, and probably one of the main reasons I joined 7 years ago, is that there's always an ever-increasing amount of stuff to do. This other category, what are some of the other things you're doing in this other category that we might not know of? I'm always astonished by what people are doing in Relativity 1. And over time, you're doing kind of a one-off, one challenge that came to you, all of a sudden that challenge becomes a pattern, that pattern becomes a use case, it becomes a whole business practice. And this community keeps expanding what it can do on behalf of its customers. And this other category continues to grow, and it's an opportunity for us all to rise and thrive together. Now, as Phil mentioned, the most important layer of all is actually the people. And these pictures are us actually doing the work together, co-innovating together. So we spend a lot of time in this market getting feedback from the community and using that feedback to drive innovation in our products. So it's an investment in time together to build the future software. In this case, we've been building things like reducing friction in our Australian workflows and PDF workflows. Anybody heard of those? Yeah. We're not done yet, but we continue to invest in these things. But we are seeing improvements with all of your feedback and all of our time spent on it. We've seen imports rise over 3x year over year. We're seeing exports rise as well. We still have plenty to do, so make sure that you keep us accountable to that, because we're going to continue to invest in it. But it's not even just about those products. It's about all the other features we're bringing to the market. A number of those we bring in advanced access programs, like I said, where you help put your fingerprints on them. And then beyond that, with all this R&D spend, we're putting out hundreds of features a year, not even counting all the performance improvements and all the things we're doing to reduce incidents in the platform. And overall, it's about being a steward for this product, for you all, for this business, because ultimately, we want you to be our customer or our partner for life. And as Phil mentioned, we want that to be at least 100 years. So now, to get on with the show here, I want to introduce you to Simon Shim, who's going to take you through all the capabilities in the end-to-end experience, and then we'll talk about all things air. Thank you.
Hello, Fest Sydney. My name is Simon Shim, and I lead teams at Relativity focused on enabling our customers to automate and innovate. And in addition to having missed the memo about white trainers, I am thrilled to talk about how far we've come since Spotlight last year in building powerful end-to-end experiences fit for your workflows to address legal data intelligence use cases. So let's jump in with administration. As with everything in Relativity 1, security starts from the very first step. That first time you log in. And rolling out in phases this quarter, users will have a simple invitation workflow powered by a secure, enterprise-grade platform that will proactively prevent suspicious logins from either bot detection, brute force protection, or dark web monitoring, with enhanced administrative controls coming later this year. Of course, managing hundreds of thousands of Relativity 1 users can make managing permissions a challenge. And that's why with feature permissions, you'll manage permissions with just one click and full confidence to achieve what you need from permissions. And since launch this year, we've seen customers saving over 100,000 clicks every month. Now, let's check on platform usage. With usage reports, you can configure the data points that you need across case statistics, processing, as well as recently released air and extend product usage, and run a report rather than complex scripts. To save even more time in getting the data that you need, we'll also be adding scheduling capabilities and additional data like the LDI use cases that your matters are targeting. Now, all set, we'll take a look and, okay, looks like Kyle, MDBs, aren't you here? But he's right, MDBs are super important. But how do I MDB? Let's ask AI help that brings all the knowledge together from the platform documentation and brings it in context right when you need it. And yep, just got it. Exactly what I needed. Oh, and one more thing. Is AI help available in the Asia Pacific region? Yes, it is. And administrators can enable or disable as they need. So with that, let's move on to uploading data. And first off, let's take a look at what we're dealing with. Looks like just a couple of files, a video file, an Access Database MDB file, and let's jump in. With import, we added a dedicated workflow this year for how you can bring in MDB files as a load file and then import the contained metadata. I'll use the Map with AI feature to get a head start, and it looks like generally pretty good. But I see one dimension that needs a fix, so I will create a field and fix up that ontology semantic layer that Chris just talked about. Then, job's running. I'll deal with the files on the side here. As you can see, we've been hard at work to make sure that dealing with MDB files is as intuitive as possible in the platform. Now, for the cloud data, I'll head to collect where I can bring in data from key cloud data sources, as well as conversational AI data platforms, such as OpenAI's ChatGPT Enterprise, with new connectors coming online for Google Gemini, as well as a seamless integration with Microsoft's Purview eDiscovery, all coming later this year. Now, for cell phones, our partnership and integration with Cellebrite allows you to perform a remote collection of forensic images all within the platform. And with it, we've seen customers be able to complete an end-to-end processing and collection of that custodial mobile device data, all in just over an hour from a process that normally takes weeks. We're launching to Asia Pacific this quarter, and with more on the way to enable that you collect and target only what is needed with date filters, as well as exclusion criteria for artifacts and contacts. Now, speaking of which, processing is now used by 93% of Relativity-1 customers. And for the world's largest and most complex cases, because within the past 12 months, we've seen processing handle over 8.7 petabytes of data, with multiple customers handling 25 terabytes of data just last month. And we are on track later this year to enable you to process 5 terabytes a day with cloud-native architecture. Processing, of course, is now more intuitive than ever before. All those prior steps are seamlessly integrated to enable you to extract metadata, enrich, as well as convert to Relativity short message format for a vast library of data types, expanding to include UFDRs as well as Apple formats later this year. Proliferating data types, exponential data volumes, no problem. Handle it all with Relativity-1 processing. Now, data is uploaded, time to review. We'll head to Review Center first, which is the nexus for all things review, where we bring together powerful reporting and impactful AI, and as you'll learn later today in sessions, the future home of AIR. So, why don't we jump into a review queue? And looks like the first document is a video, which is no surprise. Audio and video data has continued to grow 200% year over year in Relativity-1. By leveraging our cloud transcription service, you can navigate through the waveform, as well as search directly within the transcript for key moments, like this one, with our Chief Product Officer, Chris Brown, and his AI digital twin from Fest last year.
Oh, sigh.
Oh,
Jurassic
wow.
Chris. Okay.
Jurassic Chris. Yep. Targeting general availability later this June, with more to come this year, including redaction capabilities, which will be of high interest to at least one member of the audience here today. Now, let's head to the next document. This year, we released the ability to create and store a PDF version of the document, including being able to download it directly from the viewer. Now, with the PDF viewer itself, you can work on those stored PDFs just as you would with a TIFF document, including highlighting and redacting some of the key information that can show up in the document. Now, heading back to the workspace, that's a lot of short messages. And we've seen, as Phil mentioned, a 200% year-over-year increase in the volume of short messages with Relativity 1. So we're excited about the newly designed short message search experience, which will enable you to find responsive messages like never before. Add conditions for dates, participants, message deletions, emojis, and many others. Then hit apply so that the search hits jump out to you in the viewer to facilitating coding decisions and message-level decision-making, and all releasing in May. Now, for documents in a non-primary language, like this one, a Japanese one to me, handles over 100 different documents, so that document review can be as intuitive and in context as possible. And in 2024, customers translated 3 billion documents. Now, as Chris already mentioned, litigations or investigations are not the only LDI use case that you're dealing with. With a significant and growing number of matters in Relativity 1 in Asia Pacific focused on data breach responses, makes sense. The Office of the Australian Information Commissioner recently reported that breaches in Australia had surpassed 1,000 cases a year, with an average all-time cost high of 4.3 million Australian dollars. With Relativity's data breach response product, creating that initial notification is accelerated from weeks or months to days, with 120 AI-powered personal information identifiers that extract entities from both unstructured and structured data. And we're already increasing the accuracy via GPT models in advanced access this quarter. Now, the product also automatically deduplicates your entities so that you can deliver your final entity report, navigate directly to key entities, review the associated PI, and resolve any key conflicting entities that remain. Then, deliver that export of the report for the critical notifications for your end customers, notification companies, or relevant regulatory agencies, which is an example of exporting your critical work product. Let's head back to that PDF document that we just redacted. We know how crucial it is for branding these documents with the redactions burned in. Soon, you'll be able to improve your workflow, including transparent redactions, to augment quality control. And later this year, you'll be able to manage that work with PDF sets, just like you do with imaging sets. And let's export all of the hard work that we've done. We'll use this option, new this year, to generate our MDB file. We'll configure those associated tables, rename fields seamlessly in the workflow so that you can meet your Exchange Protocol requirements, whether it's for the Australian court, ASIC, or other global regulating bodies. Now, part of being able to deliver all these features is about the community, with our customers, working with them together. So let's hear from Namrata on our user experience team, who has worked with actually many of you in this audience.
Greetings, Beth Sydney from New York. I'm Namrata. I am a UX designer here at Relativity. In the past 12 months, users have PDF'd 109 million documents, over 14 million PDF jobs, and across 86,000 workspaces. I just want to thank you for working with me across different time zones. The process has been really easy and really enjoyable. I want to give a shout out to people that have provided us with a lot of feedback. We have Henning, Elaine, Matt Goleb, Ashley Ackerley, Roman Barbera, Caspo. If you see them, say hi. Go out, meet a bunch of Relativians, enjoy your day, learn a lot of stuff, 10 sessions, attend my lunch and learn. Have a great day.
Wow.
That's perfect.
Thank you, Namrata. Yeah, and actually, that was in New York, and I'm pretty sure she's here. So I guess besides solving the mysteries of time and space somehow in Sydney and New York, that, Beth Sydney, is a quick tour of how we're delivering powerful end-to-end experiences with you and for you in Relativity 1. Up next, Elise Tropiano and Andrea Beckman will talk about all things air.
Good morning, everyone. I am excited to share the latest in our Air suite. which in addition to AIR for Review, now includes AIR for Privilege to help accelerate and augment your privilege reviews, and AIR for Case Strategy to help you locate key facts and build your case narratives. Our AIR suite continues to be powered by the latest generative AI, thoughtfully integrated into Relativity One, so you can use AIR to get immediate results with full data privacy and security. But now let's first talk about AIR for Review, which empowers teams to review for relevance, issues, locate key documents with greater speed, efficiency, and quality across a variety of use cases, from gaining early case insights to conducting internal investigations to transforming your first pass reviews entirely. And regardless of use case, there are these 3 steps in using AIR. So first, a lawyer describes a matter, defines what makes a document relevant using natural language. AIR then uses that input, what we call the prompt criteria, to review a sample of documents, and when it does, it makes a prediction on each document backed by a clear explanation. And then that original lawyer assesses AIR's results, improves the prompt criteria until it's effective enough to review the remainder of the corpus. So let's now check out the latest AIR for Review experience where we are investigating potential bribery between Big Thorium and the famous city of Atlantis. And we're going to start off by describing the matter. We're going to note people at Big Thorium and the city of Atlantis. We're then going to define our relevance criteria. And AIR then uses these instructions to review each of these documents. As it does, we provide you a real-time breakdown of what AIR found, from how many documents are predicted as not relevant to borderline on the criteria to relevant. We also note the conflicts that exist between AIR for Review's predictions and the human coding decisions. And from here, we can now drill into the results, where we're going to specifically focus on our relevant documents. And here we see AIR for Review found a very relevant receipt where the VP of sales of Big Thorium purchased a Rolex for the city treasurer. And AIR notes that this is probably a good sign of bribery, while also suggesting that you consider that maybe, just maybe, the purchase was unrelated to the bidding process. And we ground this prediction in the document text. All right, now let's talk about what our customers are experiencing. AIR for Review has now been in use for over 19 months, has analyzed millions of documents across hundreds of matters, across a variety of languages and data types. And consistently, our customers are slashing review times by half, often more. They're achieving more accurate results compared to traditional methods. The transparency in the rationales and considerations is fostering collaboration across legal teams. And AIR's performance, capable of reviewing thousands of documents around the clock, eclipses the speed of even a large review team. And just to share a couple of proof points, and you'll hear more in a bit, Teneo used AIR for Review to complete the review of 1 million documents, what would have taken many months, in 18 days with one reviewer. Foley used AIR's multilingual capabilities to keep an investigation in-house, completing an investigation of over 120,000 documents with 3 reviewers, down from the original 10. Now I'm going to pause. Who in the audience has used AIR for Review? OK. For those with their hands down, I encourage you, I implore you, use AIR for Review for just 5 minutes in our labs and workshops throughout the day. Phil is up for the challenge as well, and he can join you. Right? Right? You said so. OK. OK. But now let's talk about AIR for Privilege. We have our relevant documents. We may need to produce them. And so we're going to use AIR for Privilege, which can help locate more privilege information in a fraction of time compared to traditional review, with flexibility that make it fit for cross-jurisdictional matters or even local ones. And the steps to using AIR for Privilege are all aimed at building the knowledge of the privileged actors in your matters, to comprehensively locate all privileged content. And so we first start off by removing the noise, identifying confidentiality footers and spam, which commonly hit on priv terms. We then identify the different privilege actors, and here we're able to discern in-house counsel from outside counsel to third-party experts that otherwise confer privilege. And then we use that knowledge, that context, to predict privilege by combining that knowledge with generative AI, looking at the language of documents. And throughout, we give you full control and oversight over the results so that as we're identifying the different people in your case and their roles, you can confirm and where it makes sense, override the results. And this all culminates into us predicting each document on whether it's privileged or not. But more than that, we categorize documents in a way that allows your teams to better QC the results, noting documents that are borderline on privilege and need the eyes of your most senior lawyers, to those needing redactions, to those that are wholly privileged and can be suppressed from your production. And we back these predictions by clear citations, rationales, and considerations that we also make available in the viewer. Now, you're probably noticing this privilege description in the upper left corner. In addition to predicting privilege, we also draft privilege descriptions to help you with your privilege lists. And our customers love these, not just because of the time savings, but because they're nuanced in a way to reduce challenges from opposing parties. And now let's talk about what our customers are experiencing. Air for Privilege has now been in use for over 15 months by over 100 customers. And where we've compared Air for Privilege's predictions with human coding decisions with real matters, Air for Privilege achieves accurate results, successfully locating at least 99% of privileged content. For one Fortune 100 corporation, Air for Privilege, in addition to slashing review time by 80%, caught 5,000 privileged documents that were about to go out the door, documents that discuss case strategy. So in addition, reducing time, significantly reducing risk. But now, let's talk about Air for Case Strategy. And to tell us more, Andrea Beckman, come on stage.
Air for Case Strategy empowers lawyers with transformative case intelligence, and it does that in a number of different ways. First, it brings the case team together into the case home experience where they can work together where their data already exists. Next, Air for Case Strategy generates a foundational list of facts so they can get an understanding of their matter and the timeline of events. We offer customizable document summaries so you can understand your data very easily. We also automatically generate witness summaries so you can get a holistic understanding of your witness and better prepare. So let's take a look at each of these. Here, we're in the case home for Air for Case Strategy. It's where you initiate all your workflows. You can also see the resultant facts that were extracted from the documents. You can pop open the key documents here. You can also go into the case documents section, and that's where we have all the memos that are automatically generated. Now, Air for Case Strategy works similar to Air for Review in that the lawyer describes the matter, including what they're trying to prove. Then Air generates the facts or the memos, depending on which workflow you chose, and all of that information is transparently supported by document citation. And then the lawyer reviews this information. They can make updates and edits as needed as they're building out their case strategy. All right, let's take a look at the facts now. So all of these facts are intelligently extracted from the documents, and with each one, we include the entities that it's associated with, as well as the legal issues. We give you a fact score on a scale of very important to only somewhat important to the case, as well as an explanation for that score. We tell you if the fact may be helpful or harmful or neutral to your case based on what you're trying to prove. And of course, you can review the document then for more information from where the fact came from. Now, as we're creating the facts for the case, we're also creating document summaries. And the best part is that you can fully customize these document summaries. Some customers like longer, some shorter. You can say the exact content and format that you want that summary to be in. And now, instead of having associates craft these document summaries by hand, they simply can review this information, get an understanding of their data, and further their case strategy development more efficiently. All right, now let's take a look at our witness summary. So for each witness, you can automatically generate this witness summary. It includes an overview of who the person is, how are they related to other entities in the case, how are they relevant to the legal issues and the facts of the matter. All this information is fully editable, so you can make some updates and changes as you see fit. And then you can also export out the memo and the supporting documents for further case development activities. We also automatically generate an outline that helps you actually jumpstart the line of questioning for your witness. Now, all of the information contained in these memos is an example of some of the sophisticated analysis and rich insights that Chris was mentioning earlier, climbing up that cognitive curve. So Air for Case Strategy is in a limited availability right now with over 30 different customers. It's helping them focus on higher value work instead of starting with blank sheets of paper trying to define their case narrative. It's surfacing the insights they need rather than having those sit in long, complex documents. It's bringing them to light. And it's also driving efficient case team collaboration because everyone's together working in one repository with their case insights and their data. And our customers agree. Martha here says that Air for Case Strategy dramatically reduces the manual work of creating facts and building useful timelines. She said it offers a novel way to eliminate tedious work and allows lawyers to focus on case analysis and strategy. She thinks Air for Case Strategy is a big step in making case management more efficient and effective. All right, now let's move on to a related capability that we're currently calling Q&A. Q&A is a natural language search experience where you can ask questions of your data in a simple chat interface. The responses back are transparently supported by document citations, and in the future, you'll be able to easily take action on those responses and further generate work product. So let's take a look. Here, we're opening up the Q&A chat experience, and we're entering a question. Let's go back to that earlier investigation that Elise was talking about around bribery. So let's ask a question looking for documents that contain proof of bribery, talk about who are the custodians involved here and what were their role in the matter. So we asked that here and we got a nice summary of information back, talking about the key players, giving us a summary of their interaction with some nice important documents that we should further review. From there, you can further refine your questions, further dig into the matter and gain more understanding. And ultimately, you can then jump into the key documents and review that information. Q&A allows you to surface what you don't know about a matter. So the who, the what, the when, earlier on in your case, so you can help achieve better case outcomes. It helps you find support for legal issues. And it also takes the legwork out of summarizing complex information. So now Q&A is in advanced access with a couple of different customers right now as we continue to iterate on the responses and build out the capabilities. But we plan to integrate it into Air for Case Strategy during our limited availability timeframe coming up in the next couple of months. Ultimately, though, we're working towards a vision where you can come into Air for Case Strategy with all of your information intuitively and automatically organized so your case team can dig into those details. They'll have an assistant by their side where they can ask questions of their data and they can iteratively craft work product together, leading to much more efficiency for the case team. You could say that we truly believe the sky's the limit here with Air for Case Strategy. There's much, much more to come here. All right, so now that we've reviewed the power of the entire Air suite, let's hear a little bit more about what our customers have to say.
Relativity Air for Review enabled us to conduct a comprehensive review of a large set of documents in a tight discovery deadline. I'm Roman Barbera. I'm an Executive Director at Quartermentha. In total, we were able to review for 25 fewer days than we would have otherwise and reduce review costs by 85%.
Air allowed us to perform a first level review and a sample QC over 1 million documents in 18 days. If you think about conducting that first level review using traditional first level review humans, that could have taken months. Ineffectively, Air introduced a cost saving of 70% when you compare the two.
The combination of all the different ways we're using generative AI and Air for Review being a centerpiece of it, we expect to save about 20 to 40% on average in our document review costs.
My experience using Air for Review has been tremendous. Air makes me feel indispensable to the litigation teams that I work with. Because of the analysis, I know more about these critical documents, and it gives me a chance to educate the people I'm working with, to work closely, form legal strategy, change legal strategy, and provide a better outcome for the clients.
Air is like moving from printing directions on MapQuest to having GPS directly integrated into your car. It makes everything faster, smoother, and more efficient.
I love that.
That's from ChatGPT.
But within minutes from applying it to a handful of documents, people were in awe and quite stunned by the output and the quality of its precision and decisions of the documents.
Working with Air is like watching TV in the 80s or 90s versus watching TV now. There's no comparison between standard definition and ultra high definition 4K. It's no comparison at all.
Air is revolutionizing the way that we do document review.
Air and the deployment of AI is going to completely change the way that we go about discovery into the future.
Jump in. Now's the time. It's ready for you.
It does what it says on the tin. It's a good thing I'm not an actress.
Thank you for that video. Hey, everybody, just wanted to say thank you for your time today on behalf of all of us. We obviously showed you so much there in the demo during the presentation, but I would really encourage you to get your hands on to the products. We went through a lot here, so please throughout the show get your hands on or talk to any of us. Thank you for all joining. Thank you for the teams, and we'll see you the rest of the show. Thank you.